This was a week of surprises. The first was when my friend told me about how his company celebrated his 15 years of service with an email certificate. No personal contact to say thanks, just an email. So 15 years seems like a pretty significant amount of time to spend with one employer, especially these days when, people change jobs every 2 or 3 years. But what surprised me even more was when he told me what happened next. So since that was his thank you, he thought, well, it'd be nice to have it printed out in color. So he printed it. And he was questioned about it and reprimanded for it. Seriously, one color copy of his 15 years of service thank you certificate. And his reward points that he could use to make a purchase at the company's online store, 1 point short of him being able to purchase anything. He thought it was a mistake. No, you can't make this kind of stuff up. So my next surprise happened today when we were having these new countertops installed. You can see we've still got some work to do here. With the right tools and people who knew how to use them, something that had looked so permanent and sturdy was actually removed pretty easily, even though it had adhesive holding it in place. Everywhere except here on the island. When they got ready to remove this, there was no adhesive, no brackets, nothing holding it in place. They were surprised. They just lifted it right off. All I could think about was, what if somebody had ever, turned around and kind of jumped up on the edge, like you do on a kitchen counter? Oh, I shudder to think. So my two surprises reminded me of the perils of these two things: overkill and overlooking. If that's the way we have the approach when we're working with people, there's the potential that both could be a disaster. So how do we overcome that? Our tendency to either do overkill or overlooking. I think it starts with being willing to ask ourselves this question: what am I missing? Now, that sounds so simple, and it is, unless we don't really think we're missing anything, or we don't really want to know if we're missing anything. My friend and my countertop installers, they could have answered that question easily. Because when you're close enough to the problem, you usually can. So here's my question for you. Who do you need to ask, what am I missing? And then, are you willing to listen to the answer so that you can avoid an unwanted surprise? That's my perspective this Friday. I'm Amy Barg, living large.